Bitcoin has just surged back towards 78,000 US dollars, and this time it's not just charts or hype or influence driving it, it's global politics. A ceasefire extension in the Middle East has just flipped the market sentiment almost instantly, and money is flowing straight back into risk assets like crypto. Now, on the surface, that sounds bullish, and don't get me wrong, it is. But here's the real question you need to be asking right now. Is this a start of the next move towards 85,000 US dollars, or even $90,000, or maybe even higher? Or is it just another trap before a bigger pullback? Because if you understand what's actually happening right now, you're already ahead of probably 90% of retail traders out there. So let's break it down properly.
I am not a financial advisor. This video is based solely on my opinion on what I'm personally doing in this market. I also want to let you know that some of the links below and in the descriptions are affiliate links, meaning I may get a commission, but it will be at no extra cost to you. Please remember that under no circumstances will I ever contact you and ask you for investments. You can confirm all of my real social media handles in the description and also at milkshakematty.com. This content is for educational and entertainment only, and I'm not a financial advisor.
So let's start with the actual catalyst behind this move, because Bitcoin has pushed up towards 78,000 US dollars and hitting one of the biggest, highest levels in absolute weeks. And this was right after the news broke that a ceasefire in the Middle East has been extended. Now, at first glance, that might seem completely unrelated to crypto, but this is where most people misunderstand how markets actually work. Because crypto doesn't move in isolation anymore, it moves with global sentiment. And when geopolitical tensions ease, fear drops, confidence rises, and capital flows back into risk. And that includes crypto. We saw the exact same reaction across the traditional markets, with stocks futures moving higher, tech stocks gaining strength, and risk assets across the board getting a boost. And Bitcoin, it's leading the charge. This is the key shift that a lot of people still haven't fully grasped. Bitcoin is no longer just a speculative asset. It's now part of the global macro system, and that changes everything for me. And if I'm honest, it's something that back in the day, we all hoped would happen. Now, here's where it gets more interesting, because this ceasefire alone doesn't explain this move. There are actually multiple forces stacking together right now. And when these all align, that's when you get explosive price action. The first is institutional money is still buying. Let's talk about the big players, because behind the scenes, they're still accumulating. We've just seen reports of a massive Bitcoin purchase, over 34,000 Bitcoin bought in a single move, worth roughly 2.5 billion. And that is not retail. That is a serious institutional capital stepping in. And this is happening while most retail traders are still waiting for confirmation. They're hesitating, or they're chasing after the move has already happened. Meanwhile, smart money is positioning early, and it doesn't stop there. We're also seeing continued inflows into Bitcoin ETF, increased institutional exposure, and long-term accumulation trends holding strong. So while retail is asking, is it too late? Institutions are still buying. The second is the macro sentiment seems to have flipped for now. Now, we need to zoom out a little bit here, because this one is just as important, because markets run on emotion and expectation. And right now, the market has shifted from fear to a little bit of opportunity. And the ceasefire extension has reduced the immediate uncertainty, which means investors are more willing to take a risk, deploy capital, and rotate into higher return assets. And crypto sits right at the top of that list. But here's the catch. This kind of sentiment can change fast. But now we need to talk about why you need to be careful right now. Because this part, nobody likes to hear when the market is pumping. But it's the part that actually makes you money long term. Because yes, Bitcoin has pushed towards 78,000 US dollars, but that does not mean that we're clear for takeoff just yet. In fact, there are some real risks sitting right in front of us. The first is 78,000 US dollars is a crystal clear resistance level, and that level matters a lot because it's been rejected here before, and it is a psychological barrier, and it's where traders have been taking profit previously. And we've already seen signs of hesitation here. So that tells us one thing. This is a decision zone, not a breakout yet. We also need to be thinking about, is this rally news driven? And this is a big one, because right now the market is reacting to external news, not internal strength. And that means if the narrative changes, the price can reverse quickly. Let's say the ceasefire breaks down, tensions rise again, new uncertainty enters the market. That risk on sentiment will disappear instantly. And when that happens, crypto is usually the first to feel it. We also need to be looking at macro environment, because it's still not perfect. This is something a lot of people are starting to overlook already. Even with this rally, we are still dealing with high interest rates, strong bond yields, and tight financial conditions. And that matters because Bitcoin doesn't generate yield. So when safer assets offer strong returns, it limits how aggressive investors will get into crypto. So I'm going to simplify this because at the end of the day, there is one level that matters more than anything else right now, and that is 78,000 US dollars. And here's how I'm going to be thinking about it, because if Bitcoin breaks and holds above that 78 to 80K zone, we could see momentum continue, new buyers stepping in, and a move towards that 85,000 US dollars, maybe even the 90,000, because once resistance flips into support, that's when the trend can accelerate. Now, if Bitcoin gets rejected again, then we're likely looking at a move back down towards 70,000 US dollars and continue sideways for a while. And maybe even frustrated traders will start selling and it will start going backwards even further. And this is where most retail get chopped up. So let's bring this back to a strategy, because I've literally just said it could go both ways, because that is the reality of it. But if you get a strategy, this is where you can have a real edge, because smart money isn't FOMO buying at resistance. It isn't chasing green candles, and it isn't trading off emotion. They are watching the key levels. They are waiting for confirmation, and they're positioning before the move. Now, right now, we are in what is called a high probability decision zone. And that means patience is key. And this is exactly why inside the Crypto Wolfpack, we focus on understanding macro moves like this and tracking institutional behavior, and also identifying key levels before the breakout happens, because anybody can jump in after the pump. That is easy to do, but that's not how the money is made. The real edge is preparation. And if you want real-time breakdowns, trade ideas, and community that actually understands what's going on, then come and check it out. There's a link in the description, or you can go head over to cryptowolfpack.co.uk. All right, so where do we go from here? Let me give you both sides, because the bullish scenario is the ceasefire holds. Macro stabilizes and Bitcoin breaks and holds 78,000 US dollars. Then we're looking at a move towards 85,000 to 90,000 US dollars. And once momentum kicks in, it can move fast. And in fact, I expect it to move fast should this play out. But the bearish scenario is the tensions return, sentiment flips back to fear, and Bitcoin fails at resistance. And we're going to be dropping down probably below 70,000 US dollars, possibly even lower in the short term. But I'll tell you what I think is probably most likely right now. You're probably not going to want to hear it, because I'm sure you're bored of this situation right now. But honestly, I think we're going to get more chop and sideways movements between that 70 grand to 78,000 US dollars until we get a stronger catalyst. Now, what could that catalyst be? Maybe an end to the war. That could be a catalyst. Now, before you go, if you've enjoyed this breakdown and you want to go deeper into this kind of stuff, me and Paula Talks Crypto have just dropped a brand new episode of the UK Crypto Podcast. We're talking about how narratives in crypto are actually shaped, where the mainstream media is pushing certain agendas, and how that impacts investors like you. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to link the full podcast playlist at the screen at the end of this video. So as soon as this finishes, you can dive straight in. So guys, here's the bottom line. Bitcoin is hitting 78,000 US dollars. Isn't just another move. It is a signal in my eyes, and a signal that macro is in control. Institutions are still buying, and something bigger could be building. But this is also where mistakes can get made. This is where people chase, they overtrade, or they get caught on the wrong side. So stay sharp, stay patient, stay informed. And if you got value from this, please hit that like button, drop me a comment down below, and subscribe so you don't miss what I'm going to do next. Because trust me, I think the next move in crypto is going to catch a lot of people off guard. Thanks to every single one of you for making it to the end of this video. I appreciate every single one of you. Now remember, hit the like, hit subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. And remember this, the strength of the wolf is in the pack.